really busy, but getting a PA, it's just me. Like having a PA, I feel like for a lot of business owners feels a little bit like this massive step up. And I just want to break down in this episode just some signs, symptoms, thoughts of when it's time to get one. And so the really short answer, if we were to just have a 1-minute episode, would be I don't think it's ever too early. And that's not because I own a virtual PA business. It's because when you start a business, you end up wearing all the hats, you do a lot. And the very smartest thing you can do from the beginning is whatever it takes to leverage your time and to get things off your plate. But I'm going to dive in a bit deeper first with some actual symptoms, because you're going to say, well, you would say that, Emma, you should get an EA or a PA straight away because that's what your business is. It's not that at all. It is literally, most business owners leave it far too long. They, like the whole phrase of saying of put your oxygen mask on first. Most business owners don't do that. They will employ people in other roles, like, whether it's in accounts or just other roles in their business. But in terms of helping them get out of their own way, in my experience, most often that is left a very long time down the road. And fun fact, I did it to myself as well. So as I was growing my business from it was kind of like 2012, I took on my first member of the team. I kept adding team members who were going to answer phone calls or deliver PA work to our clients. My own PA, didn't think about that until I had it like slapped around my face in a mastermind by Nigel Bottrell in like 2017 of like, well, actually, Emma, what are you doing to get out of your own way? Because you're going to be completely the bottleneck to this and you're not going to enjoy your business. And he was completely right. And it changed in 2017. But unless you've got somebody in a mastermind slapping you around the face with when is the right time to get an EA, here are like 3 symptoms I will think are really good ones to think about. So number 1 would be, are you missing opportunities? And that might sound a bit nebulous, but what I mean by that is it can come in a few guises. Number 1, it can be that you just don't get back to emails quickly enough. Like you let things go completely cold. Like referrals, opportunities are a bit like milk. The longer you leave them, they go sour. So maybe you're just not getting back to people quickly enough. Maybe with like new leads or inquiries, that's like quite a good sign. If you have any of that and you're like, oh, actually, God, a week's gone past and I've still not got back to that person. Or maybe opportunities are coming your way and you think, I just don't have the bandwidth to do that. And the thought of even getting the bandwidth is too much. So potentially you are missing opportunities that come in the way, to your business, and just you get to a place where you're so closed on like, I'm overwhelmed and doing all this stuff that you just don't think twice about it. You're like, well, I just can't do it. So I'll put that to one side. So I feel like missing opportunities is a big one. Number 2 is the stereotypical, like it's just the basic overwhelm. Like, do you generally feel 4 days out of 5 that you are constantly behind, that you are brain fogged to hell, that you are low on decision making because you're just doing so much, that you are, all of those symptoms of like just working late, missing important things, that you are just not enjoying it because you are such in a mire of stuff. And I think number 3 is just a very like administrative task taking over. If you find that you spend most of your day sat in your inbox or replying to DMs, if you see somebody's comments on your LinkedIn and like you have to reply to that, if you see just like calendar scheduling, booking appointments, like that kind of level of stuff that's so important, it needs to happen, but it doesn't need to happen by you. And I think those 3 things together also of like the overwhelm, stuck in the admin, and then also missing opportunities, because that opportunity part is like the bottleneck as well. It's like you're kind of choosing to stay where you are rather than going, do you know what, I'm just going to get some help here and free up, leverage a bit of time, like open yourself up to be able to go again, to take on opportunities. So you might say, okay, well, that's all great, but and I do feel one of those things, 2 of those things, 3 of those things, but I can't afford it, Emma. So I've got 2 perspectives to look at this. in terms of getting somebody to support you. And again, I do feel like this episode applies to the part-time mum employing someone full-time, a virtual assistant. It applies to just getting somebody to get you out of your own way. So number one, a really great one to do is, if you think about the things in an ideal world, if you could afford it, let's just approach this from you can afford it. You've got an open checkbook and you go, right, well, what would I give that person? And let's make the list. And then just very roughly think about every week how much time you spend on those tasks. So let's say that you've made your list and I'm thinking, do you know what? I probably spend about half the week on this stuff. And if I could get somebody to do it, that would be unbelievable. And I can then, find these new opportunities and grow the business. So say it's 20 hours a week. A really, really important stat to make any decision, I think, on getting support for yourself is what your own hourly rate is. And I won't go into the whole nitty gritty, but on my emmamills.co.uk website, on the MyPA website, mi-pa, there is a productivity pad and which helps you work this out. Maybe I'll put a link in the show notes below of how to work out what your hourly rate is. But ultimately, whatever you want to earn divided by, the number of weeks you're going to work, the days you're going to work, the hours you're going to work, we end up with an hourly rate. I'll definitely put it in the show notes of how you work this out. So let's say your hourly rate gets to be £100 an hour. So I need to generate £100 an hour to earn the revenue that I want. But on the flip side, I've made a list of all these things I would love to offload, and I'm spending 20 hours on them. So £100 an hour times by 20 is £2,000. So £2,000. Now these are bigger numbers. It's just for simple maths because I don't have a calculator with me. Whether your hourly rate is £50 an hour, whether it's £30 an hour. If it's £30 an hour and I'm doing 20 hours, it's £600 a week. So we've got this number of, actually, it's costing me in the business, on my £30 an hour example, £600 a week to deliver this. Okay. So can I get somebody to deliver this for less? And for me, this becomes the crux of getting some support, because one, I know for a fact the admin tasks, the things I've talked about, you can get somebody to deliver less. But two, if you get somebody that loves to do it, this is their jam, this is their bread and butter. Like for us at MyPA, our EA everyday work is, diary management, email inbox, picking up projects and running with them, like getting you out of your own way. I know that we will do that quicker and better than most business owners because it's what we do. So you can get someone cheaper to do it, and they will also do it better and quicker than you. And so if we think, okay, well, actually, if I took half of that amount of money, £300 from my example, and went, okay, well, for £300 a week, can I get somebody to pick up this list of tasks that I've created? And honestly, I know everybody's like the task they want to outsource and what your hourly rate is, but it's a really great starting point to go, well, if I am spending 20 hours a week on this stuff and I need to generate £50 an hour, oh my gosh, well, I'm sure I can at least, to start with, outsource 10 hours a week of it, and I'll get that 10 hours back. And this is the kind of really the proper way to understand when you should get some support. And for me, the second part to this is, let's say you go, yeah, this is stupid. If my hourly rate is £50 an hour, why am I replying to my own emails or booking in appointments or filing my own receipts? These are just like very basic examples. Why am I doing that? So I'm going to get some help. Okay, I'm going to employ someone or get a virtual assistant for 20 hours a month. The really great thing to do here, so you know that you're making the right financial decision, that 20 hours that you've outsourced to start, whatever it is, you make a plan of how you're going to use that 20 hours of time. Because what I often see is when somebody gets some support, however that method is, they will get the support and then not quantify how they're using the time that's been saved. So it becomes very easy then to go, oh, well, I'm spending £500 a month on this PA. Well, I'm just going to can it and do it myself again because it's £500. Well, it is, but the proper thinking of a business owner is that, well, this £500, okay, it's saving me whatever it is, 15 hours, 20 hours. So, right, I'm going to start in November. In November, I'm going to get these things done. I'm going to record some podcast episodes. I'm going to ring up all my old clients and re-engage with them. I'm going to invite some people out to lunch that I would love to go to lunch with. I'm going to write some marketing emails. Like if you quantify in this 20 hours all this stuff you're going to do, it makes it such an easier, maintainable decision, because you're then understanding, well, if this person hadn't supported me and I'd got these 20 hours, and if I hadn't been so specific about what I was going to do with the time, I might easily cut it off again and go, I'll just save the money. But if at the end of this, I'm saying November because it's November when I'm recording this, but if at the end of November I've been really specific that I got 20 hours back and I've done this with it, and actually, I've done this, I've generated that, I generated some new business. I generated this new business that paid for my PA. Like, it starts to become a really, like, that is the proper thinking that you're doing, not just I'm cutting a cost because I haven't really thought about what I've done with the time. And that is lazy delegation to me. We want to delegate stuff and go, okay, I'm delegating because I'm going to do this instead. And it's not just about financial. It's also about, it could be, I'm going to get 20 hours of support this month, and actually I'm just going to make sure that I leave on time. I have dinner with my family, or I see the kids at football, or I go and take the yoga class and start to get me back. And I've actually used that time to feel happier and healthier. Like it's not just about growing the business. It is for lots of people, but it might also be for you that you're in a point of your business where actually you just need to regain your energy back. And that's what this outsourcing of time is about. So for me, those are the two key things on deciding when to get some support, especially with an EA or a PA. And I mentioned the productivity pad just a little bit earlier. One thing that is really handy to do, but not sexy in any way, shape or form, and probably feels a bit like don't fancy that, is auditing your time. And so our productivity pad on our website is a really great way to do that. Even if you just have 2 or 3 days of time tracked, as I say, what gets measured, what gets measured gets improved. We can do something with it. And so just having 2 or 3 days of where you've spent your time, and then looking at these 2 or 3 days and thinking, right, well, if I removed this, I would have either enjoyed the day more, or I would have done more new business calls, or I would have actually spent the time on marketing that I needed to, or actually I could have taken that afternoon off and gone out for a date with my wife, or it's that part is on you. It depends where you're at and what you're looking to achieve. But the symptoms of getting an EA, then really understanding, one, why would you do something in your hourly rate that you can get somebody to do for less? And then really, really key, when you commit to getting some help, be really, really conscious and discerning about, well, I've bought that time back, how am I going to use it? And as you get into this, as you do this more and as your team grows, you're not going to consciously make a plan for every hour you've bought back, but it's a really great way to make that decision easy and keep it, and don't pull back from it. So I get asked this question a lot, and I think this is a really great way to approach it, because when you buy your time back, it's the one thing we don't get again, and how you use it, it's completely, from Richard Branson has the same time in the day that I have, and how you must be able to leverage that to the highest level is a game we all want to improve on every single week. Getting a PA is a brilliant start to that. And then just having that decision-making process makes it really easy to keep the PA, and most importantly, do really good stuff with the time that you've bought back. So I hope this week's episode was helpful for you on the podcast. I think it's really, really, really part of focusing on the fun stuff, getting you out of your own way, getting support, not going it alone. That's a really key part of it. And I will see you next week for an interview, I'm sure. See you then.